How do you move through grief? Grief is such a heavy emotion, whether it's the loss of a loved one, the loss of a job, a relationship, or something else entirely. Grief is incredibly heavy. In the moment, it can feel like your entire heart, your entire being, and your entire soul is being ripped into, being shredded apart for something that you and the other person potentially just did not deserve. It can feel like the weight of the world is on top of you and like everything is just falling apart. And it can be very easy to feel like you're just in a black hole with no way out, not necessarily because there isn't one, but simply because of the weight of the emotion. I remember when I lost my partner, it was one of the heaviest moments of my entire life. And I can only put it down to feeling akin to feeling like I'd been pushed off or fell off the entire planet and I was just left floating in the abyss because at the time I couldn't see a way forward. I saw no way out and I couldn't comprehend how and why the universe had abandoned me in the way that it did. Because in the moment, that's what it feels like, right? It feels like the entire world, the universe, and what you believe in has just turned away from you, has just abandoned you to feel something that is just so unfair for you to feel and so unfair for you to have to go through because nobody deserves it, right? But of course, that mentality does not do much to helping us accept and move forward. Because if we don't learn to accept the situation and move through the feelings of grief or the strong emotions, it means that that energy carries us forward into the future versions of ourselves, impacting the next chapter of our life. And so it begs the question then of when everything just feels so dark and so heavy, how on earth do we come to a place of acceptance? To the point where we can walk forward without that energy entangling us in the events of the past. And I feel like there is no right answer. I feel like it's going to differ to each and every person. However, I feel like a good starting point is always to allow yourself to feel the emotions, to understand that if you don't let yourself fully grieve, fully mourn, and fully feel everything that comes up, then that energy, it doesn't go away. It becomes stored by the body and it will reappear at a later point in time, potentially in greater force or through physical illness. Because that energy, if you don't release it, if you don't feel it, it doesn't just vanish. It sits there and it waits and waits and waits and builds and builds and builds until the body cannot hold it in anymore. Because if you allow yourself to feel and if you allow yourself to move that energy, the body is incredibly intelligent and it will release. And when it releases, your body no longer holds on to it because it has no reason to. And once it's released, bit by bit and piece by piece, you'll be able to rebuild and put yourself back together because that energy won't be clouding and impacting your ability to do so. Over time, if you allow yourself to do that, you will slowly find that the memories of the past stop impacting you as much, not because they're gone, but simply because the emotional charge behind them has faded because it's been released. And once you get to a point where that's the case, it becomes easier to look back with a sense of happiness, peace, love, and acceptance for what was. And when you get to that state, it means that when you walk forward into the future, the pain, it's no longer hindering you. Rather, it becomes a source of strength and allows you to move forward in life in a new light. And I think when it gets to that point, there is almost something beautiful about grief. And you can see that grief isn't something that holds us down. Rather, it gives us an opportunity to rebuild and rise up to become a newer, stronger, more integrated version of ourselves that can then walk forward into the next chapter of our life. Because if you look at it logically, you have two choices when faced with grief. The first one, to allow yourself to feel, to sink into the grief, to allow yourself to release the emotions fully so that you can come to that place of acceptance and no emotional charge behind the memories. Or alternatively, you can numb it, you can push it down, you can avoid it, but ultimately that energy doesn't go away. Both options are choices. It doesn't change the event itself, but it does change how we carry ourselves forward. And while one may result in more pain up front, it results in greater freedom down the line. And while the other seems easier at the time, it can result in more pain moving forward. And so the choice is ours, but grief ultimately is something that we can move forward from once we come to that place of acceptance. And in doing so, it can become something beautiful in itself.